Hello everybody, I hope you're doing wonderfully. Today we are going to actually be reviewing all of the skills that we've covered so far this semester. Starting with types of writing. So one of the topics that we covered was the 4 types of writing that an author can use. The first one is expository writing, which of course exposes or sets forth facts. It does not make reference to the author's personal opinions. I know you've written this type of writing. It is completely objective, no opinions. Then we have descriptive writing, which helps the reader visualize in detail a character, event, place, or all of these things at once. The author might describe the scene in terms of all 5 senses. So like we've talked about before, how does it look? How does it smell, feel, taste? You're trying to paint a picture so that the author can really visualize it. So you're going to put on a lot of imagery in there. The third one is persuasive writing, which aims to influence the reader to assume the author's point of view or take a specific action. So you want to convince them to agree with you or to act in some way. I know you've written this type of essay as well. And then finally, we have narrative writing, which tells a story, whether that story is real or imaginary. So it can be fiction or nonfiction. And a lot of times it includes dialogue and maybe story elements. Okay, so these are the 4. If you have any questions, remember that you have access to all the previous videos. I am going a little fast because we're just reviewing. But remember that you have access to everything and that you can ask me if you have questions on the Remind page. So here's exercise number 1. Before I explain the exercise, I will say there will be 4 exercises total in this video. They're spread out throughout the video, so you have to pay attention. Make sure you complete all 4 of them, and then send me the responses to them on Remind, okay? So exercise number 1 is for you to identify the following examples as one of the 4 types of writing. So here we have these examples, and you have to tell me that these are examples of what? Are they examples of expository, narrative, persuasive, or descriptive writing? Okay? There's only three exercises, okay? All right, so you're going to write in the paper exercise 1, and then you're going to write the 3 answers, okay? All right, I'm going to move on from these pretty quickly. Remember, you can just pause the video while you think about it and answer each of them, but I'm going to move on. One of the other topics that we discussed was types of sentences, which was simple, compound, and complex. Simple sentences contain one subject and one predicate, and it expresses a complete thought. Okay, so for example, the dog ate his food. A compound sentence contains 2 or more independent clauses joined by a coordinating conjunction. You may remember the coordinating conjunctions as fanboys: for, and, nor, but, or, yet, so. So for example, the dog ate his food and the cat also ate his. So we have 2 complete sentences that are being joined together by the coordinating conjunction and. Okay, there would be a comma and a coordinating conjunction between them. Then we have the complex sentence, which contains an independent clause and a dependent clause. A dependent clause begins with a subordinating conjunction, which is different to the coordinating conjunction. I had provided a list of them before. Okay, so although, because, while, there are several. So for example, although the dog ate his food, he was still hungry later. So if we separate although the dog ate his food, that is an incomplete thought and it's dependent. And the other clause, he ate his food later, I think is what I said, that would be an independent clause. They're joined together by the subordinating conjunction although. Okay? So here's exercise number 2. I want you to identify the following sentences as simple, compound, or complex. There's only 5 sentences. Read each of them and tell me if they are simple or they have one independent clause. Compound, which is 2 independent clauses joined together by a coordinating conjunction. Or complex sentence, which is one dependent and one independent clause joined together by a subordinating conjunction. Okay, remember you can pause the video here so you can write your answer. All right, are you there? This is the halfway point. So if you've made it to this point of the video, please tell me what your favorite movie is on Remind so that I know that you're following and that you're understanding everything so far. Just tell me your favorite movie. We'll talk about that over there on Remind. Another topic that we discussed was the noun form. Specifically, we talked about how to convert verbs into nouns. We talked about converting verbs into nouns using suffixes such as ion or ment. Okay, so what I want you to do in this section, this exercise number 3, is convert these 5 verbs into their noun form using the suffixes we've talked about before, either ion or ment. Okay. Just write exercise 3 and then numbers 1 through 5 with the answers. For none of these exercises do you have to write the full instructions or the full exercise, only the number and the answer, okay? No need to write everything. All right, this is actually new. I was going a little fast because I wanted to get to this. I think actually we discussed this last year, the writing process. I wanted to go over it. So first we have pre-writing, which is when you start gathering ideas. You choose a purpose, you choose a topic, you choose the audience you may have, and you kind of order those ideas. Then the next step of the writing process is drafting, which is the first thing that you put down on paper. Okay, when you're drafting, your focus should be getting it all out on paper, not making sure that it's 100% correct. Just write it. Okay, that's the first draft. The next step is usually revising, which usually consists of you consulting with peer readers or your friends or your teacher, so that they tell you if there are any content changes that you should make. So then you should evaluate those changes, make whatever revisions are necessary, and that will improve the quality of your writing. The fourth step in the writing process is editing or proofreading. This is about correcting errors in spelling, grammar, usage, mechanics, and formatting. It's different from revising because revising is about content, and then editing and proofreading is about grammar. The final step is publishing, which is just sharing your writing. That does not necessarily mean sharing it on the newspaper or in an academic forum. Just handing it into your teacher, that's a type of publishing. What's most important that you remember is the note that's down here that says that the writing process is not linear. The steps may be repeated, just like the arrows in the diagram above circle back through earlier steps. So you can see here that they kind of go around in circles, and the reason for that is that sometimes we'll draft and then we want to go back and change our purpose or change our topic. Sometimes we're revising and we decide that we have to go back to the writing, or we're editing and we go back and we're like, no, we have to change our main ideas. So this is not a linear process. It moves around, okay? You have to be flexible. When you write an essay, you should follow that writing process, and you should remember the main parts that it should have. It should have an introductory paragraph, it should have several body parts, and then it should have a concluding paragraph. Within your introductory paragraph, there should be a thesis statement that tells me what your essay is about, what the purpose of your essay is. Then in each body part or body paragraph of your essay, there should be a main idea, only one main idea that supports your thesis statement, okay? You should not have several main ideas together. That's why you divide the paragraphs. Then finally, in the concluding paragraph, you should restate your thesis statement and summarize your points. There should not be any new points or new information in the conclusion. Every paragraph within this essay should have content specificity, which means it should be specific to one topic. You shouldn't be talking about many different topics at the same time. It should be structured and organized. And what's going to help you with that is using transition words. So you have to make sure that the flow between words, between sentences, between paragraphs is very smooth. And what's going to help you with that is using transition words. Okay? What should you avoid? Redundancy, so being repetitive, saying the same thing over and over again, and ambiguity, saying nothing, not being specific enough about what you're trying to say. That leads us to exercise number 4, which is the last exercise. I want you to apply what we just discussed about the writing process, paragraph structure, by writing a one-page reflection about this semester. Okay, just make sure it's one page. Try to incorporate everything I've said so far about the writing process and about the parts of an essay, even if it's a very short essay. Make sure that it's content specific, that it's not ambiguous. Okay, and if you have any questions, remember that I'm on the Remind page from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. I'm available to answer any questions you may have. Remember to complete all 4 exercises as well as the midpoint Are You There activity and send them to me on Remind. Okay? All right, well, I hope you all understood everything I've said so far and that you have a great day. Bye, everyone.